Hey guys, this is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with the weekly analysis. Today is Monday, the 26th of March 2018, and the time is 15:12 here in the UK. You're looking at AUD/JPY daily chart. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking for all kinds of price action setups, reversals, continuations, range-bound setups, all kinds of price action setups. We're price action traders, so we're looking for price action trades. We're not trading just reversals, we're not trading just continuations, we're trading everything. The reversals we trade are counter trend. Continuations we trade are with the trend, as continuations should only ever be, really. I don't think you can actually take a counter trend continuation. That wouldn't make much sense. So let's look for some setups. We're going to be looking for setups across most of these pairs here. Not DXY. That's just there because Jack, who's in here today, I believe, yeah, he is, asked me to do some support resistance for this pair, but I don't actually trade this. Well, it's not even a pair, sorry. It's a here you go. It's a dollar index, but we're not going to be doing analysis for this because, yeah, don't trade it. Righto. AUD/JPY, what's going on with this? This is trending down heavily, isn't it? This is in a really nice downtrend. We need some support down here. We need to place a support area, just get an idea of where price might stall. The thing is, with placing support resistance areas based on old data is they tend to be a bit hit and miss. So I wouldn't place too much faith in this area I've just placed here. Why have I placed it here? I'm basing it on some kind of bounces through here a little bit, but mostly it's based on this bounce and this bounce. Recent data is always the most important when you're placing support resistance. So the most recent bounces we have are from there and also from here, actually. It's not as apparent, but you could see price bouncing from here. If you drop down to a lower time frame, it'll be a bit clearer, but I'm not going to bother to do that right now. So we have a support area. Funnily enough, it's bouncing directly from that one. Let's place another one though, just so we have something a bit lower in case it breaks down. That way we already have our area placed. All right, that one's a pretty obvious one. Placed based on that bounce, this kind of like messy bounce through here, and also just a whole lot of bounces through there. Came down, came back up to test it, down, blah, 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 blah. Lots of bounces. So, got a few support resistance areas now on AUD/JPY. Now we know where price might stall on its way down. It's already obviously stalling at this support area. So that means that this one placed based on this data still seems to be somewhat valid today, which is nice. But obviously too late to enter any trade there. I wonder if it was even a trade though. Yeah, maybe on the 4 hour, but not that great of a trade. Anyway, so what am I looking for now with AUD/JPY? Well, it is trending down very heavily. It's a very strong bearish trend. So what I've been looking for here is a continuation from this resistance area. If price pushes up to the resistance area, we get some indecision forming. I'll be looking for a continuation, looking for it to continue heading down. But right now it's not at that resistance area, so we can't really do much. So let's just move on to another pair. All right, USDCAD. USDCAD's doing the opposite. This one's trending up very heavily. It was a nice short trade there last week, which I think a lot of you took, or at least some of you took. I shared this one, I think was it Monday? Or I shared this one in one of the webinars last week. Right now, what's going on with USDCAD? Well, we got this nice, strong, bullish trend. We have a pullback right now. Pullback is sitting on top of this support area, struggling to break below it. When you see something like this, it's usually a pretty good sign. It's struggling to break below it, struggling to make any significant new lows, Struggling to get below this last pullback, which is also a good sign. Struggling to get below or even close significantly below the support area. So all in all, this looks like it could turn into a nice continuation of this overall bullish trend. I'm going to keep a close eye on this. It's going to be tricky to enter this one, to be honest. Let's look at it on the weekly. Yeah, see, on the weekly, we're getting a nice indecision candle. I'm not actually going to trade this on the weekly. I just... it sometimes helps to look at a larger time frame because it compresses all those candles down. So what appears messy on the daily chart just appears a bit cleaner on the weekly chart. You get to better see what price is actually doing. It's one of those things you learn with time when you're trading price action or trading anything really. It's that sometimes looking at a chart can be deceptive because of how the candles just happened to close. They happen to close in a specific way that it looks a bit deceptive. So if you switch time frames, you kind of get a different view and a different understanding of what's going on there. On the weekly, we see very clearly that there's indecision here right now. Whereas the daily, we do see that indecision candle, but also when you stick these three candles together, it kind of looks a little bit weird. So point being, we have indecision here. Price is stalling on top of a support area. We got an overall bullish trend. This could give us a nice continuation. I'm not going to enter long right now, obviously. I'll at least want this daily candle to close. I want to see what the next candle does. If bulls start pushing up, that will probably present us with a nice long opportunity. Only issue I have with this is that we have pretty strong resistance up above here, and that resistance is pretty close, really. So entering a long trade might get a bit tricky, but maybe entering on a retrace would give us a nice enough entry. So let's just see how this one plays out. Going to wait for this daily candle to close, but it's looking pretty decent. Right, Eurgbp trending down, I guess you would say. But overall, if you zoom out again to the weekly, you can see that it's been ranging for a while now. But the small trend seems to be down, but it also seems to be stalling here. So looks like it might be reversing and heading up. Honestly, not really much I want to do with this here. AUD New Zealand. This one is on its way down. Yeah, trending down. Sorry, what do you mean weekly and daily are the same at the moment? You mean just oh, I get what you mean. You mean because this candle is the first candle of the week. No, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. Let me re-explain. When you look at these four candles, right? You see these two candles that kind of look a bit messy and a bit confusing. But when you go over to the weekly chart, they get compressed into the large candle, and then we get a much clearer picture of what's going on right here. Now we get this much clearer picture of this was just a nice strong bullish move, and now we have indecision forming. Whereas if you look at it on the daily, where this candle was broken up, and you're looking at these three candles sitting on support, it just doesn't look as clear. So switching time frames just kind of sometimes clears things up. It makes it look a whole lot better. We still have that indecision there, but it's the candles that come before it that make it somewhat confusing, because you've got indecision here, then you got this bearish move down, then you're getting indecision again. Yeah, sorry if I didn't explain that well, guys. But anyway, we're not taking any trades on the weekly. The weekly just helps us condense price action and kind of clear things up on the support area. So what were we up to? Eurgbp, I don't want to do anything with that. AUD New Zealand is trending down. Let's see what happens when it hits the support area. Alternatively, if it stalls here, comes back up, could give us a nice continuation. But right now it's not really doing anything. So we'll just keep an eye on this. It could give us a setup, but right now it hasn't. AUD USD is obviously trending down. It's come up to this resistance area. Well, what was formerly support. It's broken through support. Come up, bounced away from it. Now it's doing another test of this. This could be heading down from here. I'm going to keep a close eye on this, but right now there's no strong setup I see. Could potentially consider entering short, possibly on a lower time frame, because if you look to a lower time frame, I'm sure you'll find indecision like there to justify a short, but I don't think so. I'm not going to do that. Euro AUD, nice strong uptrend. Let's place some resistance above if we can. I mean, we have 1 point there of right. The freshest actual data we have is from 2009. I'm going to place one here based on that bounce and one there based on that bounce. I know it's data from 2009. I'm not going to put much faith in this data. I'm going to place them here. I'm just going to see what price does when it reacts to it. You'll be surprised. Sometimes even support resistance areas this old from 2009 still hold true in 2018, and they might even still hold true in 2025 or something like that. You'd be surprised by how long support resistance lasts. That being said, I don't put too much faith in these old support resistance areas, so I am going to place them, but I probably won't jump into a trade based on them without seriously considering it first. Just to remind myself, because I have forgotten once or twice lately, just to remind myself that these are kind of weaker areas, I'm going to change the center line. That way it's can I get the colors right? That way they're red. That way I don't forget. So we have some weakish resistance areas above. Prices trending up right now. Look for a break of this resistance area, but I'm also potentially looking for price to stall at this resistance area. If we get indecision forming at this resistance area, we could get a nice little pullback here, which would then possibly give us a continuation for an overall ride of the uptrend. So this would be a reversal, counter trend reversal. I know a lot of people don't like trading counter trend, and I always get a lot of flack on YouTube for saying I want to enter a trade counter to the trend, but it's just people don't really understand trading. There's nothing wrong with trading counter to the trend if you do it properly. Generally speaking, trading counter trend, you have smaller targets, but it's not as if it's not profitable. I mean, here was counter trend setup, which would have worked out. Well, no, probably not actually, because you might have got stopped out on that pullback. Point is, counter trend trading is not bad if you know what you're doing. So we could potentially get into a counter trend trade here if price stalls on this resistance area, which right now it's not doing that. So we'll wait and see. Failing that, we'll see what we can do. If it breaks above the resistance area, gets a bit of a pullback, might be able to snag a continuation trade there. Let's see how that plays out. But right now, there's no clear setup forming. This is just one we're going to keep an eye on. EuroJPY, messy as usual. Just like stuck in this range, just going, it's not going to do anything on that. Euro USD. I'm going to pull this up to here. It's getting into an area where it's pretty messy with the support resistance. So we have a resistance area up here, support resistance area up here, support resistance area here. You know, this happens sometimes. Sometimes price gets into areas where there's just a mess of support resistance. And generally speaking, what you want to do at those times is just probably stay out of trades, because it's going to be hard for it to move freely in these areas and for it to hit your targets. So not going to do anything there. GBP Aud is stalling on this strong resistance area. Again, this would be a counter trend setup. The trend is obviously a nice strong bullish trend, but it is stalling on this resistance area. This is a yeah, it's a very significant high. This is the highest point it has hit since 2016. Midway through 2016. So that would make it a 12 plus 9, 21 month high. Unless I'm doing that math wrong. But yeah, I think it's a 21 month high. It's a significant high. It's at this high. It's stalling at this high. If you look back, that's where price turned around back in April 2016. Before Brexit crashed it down, it turned around here. That was a very, very strong reversal. So this is a strong area, and it's stalling there again now. Let's keep a close eye on this. GBP Aud might give us a nice counter trend reversal trade. Gdp Jpy. All these JPY pairs are just really messy right now. They kind of stuck between support resistance, bouncing around up and down, so not going to do anything there. GBP USD is approaching this resistance area up here. Feels like my resistance areas are a bit closely packed together, but sometimes that just happens with support resistance. Sometimes price moves into an area where support resistance is closely packed together, and you can't just remove an area and pretend it's not there. Just because you want to get into trades. GBP USD is in one of those areas right now, much like Euro USD. So it's going to be hard to get any solid trades here using my strategy. If price pushes up to this resistance area and pulls away, we could potentially get into a short, but that support area just below it would not leave us with much room to get a good target. So we're probably not going to do anything there. New Zealand JPY, just messing around on this lower support area, nothing of interest there. There's nothing ever of interest on New Zealand JPY, to be honest. New Zealand USD, I think a few of you were in a long trade here, weren't you? If I recall from last Thursday's webinar. Oh, you got stopped out. All right, I see you maybe entered there and then it pulled back down. Looks like it's going well overall. It just looks like it pushed down a little bit first. Yeah, but obviously we can't actually trade anything here because the trade's already gone. It's already pushed up, so. USDCHF. Overall in a downtrend, but looks like a bullish trend is starting also. This could give us a nice continuation of the bullish trend. Let's see what happens. Why are these support resistance areas so thin? They just look weird when they're this thin. Let's see what happens here at the support area here. I want to see if price stalls. If price stalls, it could give us a nice continuation. But right now it doesn't look like it wants to stall. We'll just keep a close eye on it. You know, maybe that will develop into something. USDJPY. The downtrend may continue. That is a strong bearish trend on USDJPY, guys. Very strong bearish trend. This could give us a nice continuation here. Wait, let me zoom in. I'm a bit zoomed out. So what I'm seeing here right now is nice strong bearish trend, broken below support, coming back up to test it, to test resistance now. It was support, got broken. It's now resistance. It's already showing signs of stalling at resistance. So this could, yeah, look at that on the 8 hour. Could develop into a nice continuation trade that we could ride down to the support area, perhaps even lower. This looks awesome. USDJPY on the list. Silver. I was looking at a nice potential long trade on silver last week. I don't really trade commodities, but some people have asked me to add it to the analysis. Looks like that long trade has triggered and it has gone up. It's now approaching this resistance area up here. Let's see what happens at the resistance area. We got gold also. Gold is pushing up. Nice. That's awesome. It's going all the way to this resistance area. It's made 2 attempts at breaking through this resistance area. It's failed both times. I'm a bit different in the way I approach support resistance areas. A lot of people do the complete opposite to me, where if a resistance area or a support area has been hit multiple times, they discount it. I look at it a bit differently. I think if a resistance area has been hit twice and it's turned price around both times in a very, very strong manner, then the third time or the fourth time, it doesn't mean it's going to break it. It means that this is a very strong resistance area and that it may hold again and it may turn price around again. So this has turned price around several times. Let's see if it can do that again on gold. New Zealand CAD, I don't even trade that. That's open because someone was asking me about the pair, so I'm just going to get rid of that. DXY, we don't do an analysis on that. Ash, you think resistance is a bit higher? Yeah, perhaps it's a bit higher. It doesn't really matter too much. Continuations are continuations. All right, I've pulled it up a little bit higher. It's now like 10 pips higher. Does that mean that this is not a valid setup? Definitely not. Still looking good to me. I would still consider entering a short trade here. I'm going to keep a close eye on it. It's already going down. I hope it doesn't go down too quick. All right, guys. So let's summarize. We've got a few setups across the USD pairs. USDCAD stalling on top of support could give us a nice strong bullish continuation. USDCHF very similar, but it's not really stalling yet, but it looks like it might. Strong bullish continuation. USDJPY though looks like it might give us a nice bearish continuation. A lot of you are probably going to say, but why would you short USDJPY and go long on USDCAD? First thing is correlations don't always hold true. I mean, you could just look at these two. One's trending down, one's trending up. So they are negatively correlated right now, if anything. Second of all, I'm not actually saying that I'm going to short this or going to go long on this right now. We're still waiting for those setups to form. The closest one to actually triggering right now would be USDCAD, because we're already seeing indecision on there. So this one might even trigger tomorrow. USDCHF probably going to be a little while longer. I'll pull this down a tad to there. USDCHF might be a little while longer. USDJPY. This one, maybe if we trade it on a lower time frame, the 8-hour or something, might give us a nice little trade, even today, to be honest. So this one, I guess, is actually potentially going to trigger before USDCAD. Imre, I guess I just answered that. So GBP Aud, actually, I forgot we have this in on the list too. This actually looks really good for a potential reversal from this very strong resistance area. This would be a counter trend trade, so by its very nature, it's slightly riskier than a continuation trade. And you also would be trading, trying to get a smaller target overall. But nothing wrong with looking for a potential trade here. Counter trend trade. Yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for this Monday, guys. Any questions?